Welcome back to the Rod Miller AI channel, where every episode is the same story because these dipshits keep running the same scam on an increasingly hilarious scale. This month, OpenAI's selling ads like it's college football bowl season in 1999. It's the Gadzooks.com Bowl between Fred Fuddpucker University and the Fighting Hamsters from Hamstrap U. President Trump launched a Manhattan Project with no budget in order to bail out billionaires. Google's winning by being the only company that knows how to run a profitable business. And 11.7% of American jobs are officially obsolete. But don't worry. They're saving the economy by firing everyone and giving their salaries to companies that lose $13 billion a year. I'm your host, Uncle Rod, and yes, this is the same episode as last week's because they keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over again. Hit the thumbs up, like button if you would, and subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment if you dare, and share this with someone you meet at your local laundromat who reeks of Cheech and or Chong, because they might want to hear it. Never know. Ready? Let's go.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
OpenAI is selling commercials now, like a media company in 1980 that just discovered the Ronco brand.
Here's how it works. Catch a bass, remove the hook, and drop the bass. That's the whole bass into the Super Bassomatic 76. Now adjust the control dial so that bass is blended just the way you like it.
They're internally testing advertisements inside ChatGPT right now. The Android app beta already has references to this feature. And before you ask, yes, they're starting with search because nothing says we're going under like the Red October, quite like showing user discounts on Adam and Eve while you search for local churches. Hey, ChatGPT, where's the nearest church? Great question. But first, have you considered this S&M starters kit from Adam and Eve for daring couples? This is the company valued at $500 billion, the company that convinced Oracle to beg for a $38 billion loan. The company Trump just launched a fake Manhattan Project to bail out, and they're pivoting to display ads. It's like if the guys building the atomic bomb stopped halfway through and said, you know what? Let's sell life insurance instead. Now, to be fair, and I'm going to be as charitable as possible here, selling ads to 800 million weekly users is smart. It's brilliant if you're a dying media company. But OpenAI isn't supposed to be a dying media company. They're supposed to be the vanguard of artificial general intelligence. They're supposed to be building the future. Instead, they're in debt up to the rectum. 13 ways AI will change your life. Number 7 will shock you. Brought to you by Preparation H, because we know these ads are a pain in the ass. And you know why they're doing this? Because they lost $13.5 billion in the first half of 2025 on $4.3 billion in revenue. Okay, they made $4 billion. They lost $13 billion. I don't have an MBA, but that doesn't sound right to me somehow. So now they're selling ads like Gawker, like Mashable, like every digital media company that promised to disrupt journalism and ended up begging brands to sponsor their listicles. The future of intelligence brought to you by KY Jelly. Lube up and bend over, boys, because we're about to be fudged.
Only I didn't say fudge. I said the word.
But don't worry, OpenAI is not going to fail because Donald Trump just launched a bailout disguised as a science project. This week, President Trump signed an executive order creating the Genesis mission, which the White House is calling an AI Manhattan Project. Let me read you the pitch here. A closed-loop AI experimentation platform linking 17 national laboratories, federal supercomputers, and decades of government scientific data into one cooperative system for research. Sounds cool, right? Sounds like actual science. Now let me read you the list of corporate partners. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, AWS, which is I can't think of them. I just spent $1 billion there, Black Friday, Amazon, Scale AI, IBM, Cerebrus, HPE, Hugging Face, Dell, and also Applied Materials, GE Aerospace, Micron, Collins Aerospace, Betty Crocker, and the Tennessee Valley Authority, because why the hell not? It's not a science project. It's a networking event for Sam Altman's Rolodex as well as his Rolex. And here's the best part. No public cost estimate, no appropriation, no budget breakdown. The White House compared this to the Manhattan Project. The thing that cost $2 billion, employed 130,000 people, and built the atomic bomb, and then just, didn't disclose or say how much it was going to cost or how much it did cost. Reuters, AP, Politico, every major outlet noted the same thing. The order does not specify new spending or a budget request. So either this is the most efficient government program in history, or it's a blank check waiting to be cashed by the same companies currently firing everyone. Want to guess which one it is? Gee there, Bob, I'm not sure. What do you think? Well, I think, why, yes. Yes, it is. The order even includes language about creating standardized agreements for model sharing, intellectual property ownership, licensing rules, and commercialization pathways. Normal people translation, we're building the legal framework for private AI companies to plug into taxpayer-funded infrastructure and then sell the results back to us, to us peoples. It's brilliant. It's brazen. It's exactly what I'd do if I were losing $13 billion a year and needed the government to cover my compute bills. But wait, it's a but wait. It's a fat ass alert. It gets dumber. The order makes no mention of open source AI development. None. Zero. This from an administration where VP J.D. Vance, back when he was a senator, warned against regulations that protect incumbent tech firms and was praised by open source advocates. The advocates of the sources, the models, where their weights are open to the public to build on. There's nothing hidden. Wonder who got to him. So here's what they built. A taxpayer-funded AI platform that will be controlled by a handful of companies governed by classification rules and export controls with no public budget, no open source mandate, and a partner list that looks like the guest list at Hugh Hefner birthday party. Meanwhile, Google's over here doing something totally revolutionary. They're making money. I know. Wild concept. This week, Meta announced they're in talks to spend billions on Google's TPU chips, tensor processing units, their chips starting in 2027, and might start running Google Cloud TPUs as soon as next year. Why? Because Google's TPUs are 30 to 60% cheaper than NVIDIA's GPUs. Anthropic's already buying over 1 million TPUs. Meta is planning to dump NVIDIA entirely. And Google executives believe they can capture 10% of NVIDIA's annual revenue. The market agreed. Alphabet, which is Google, their stock rose 4% on the news. NVIDIA dropped 3%. Google has negative net debt. They generate $150 billion in operating cash flow every year. They've got like $100 billion in cash just sitting around, kind of like me and probably you, just, over here in a box. 100 billion here, 100 billion there. Compare that to OpenAI, shall we, which is selling ads to stay alive, or Oracle, which is begging for a $38 billion loan, or SoftBank, which sold its entire NVIDIA position and is now down 40% after betting everything on OpenAI. Google's not winning because they're smarter. They're winning because they're the only company in this race that understands basic arithmetic. Revenue greater than expenses equals profit. Huh. SpongeBob. It's not complicated, but apparently in 2025, being able to count makes you a frickin' genius. NVIDIA still has over 90% market share in AI chips. They've got 4 million engineers locked into CUDA. They're not going anywhere. But the fact that Meta, one of their biggest customers, is publicly looking for alternatives Should tell you everything about how desperate these companies are to cut costs. Everyone's broke except the companies that weren't stupid enough to bet everything on a technology that doesn't have a business model yet. Google's selling shovels and gold. OpenAI is selling ads. Oracle's selling hope or debt. I honestly don't know anymore. But hey, at least the economy is doing great, right? MIT released a study this week using something called the iceberg index. I love it. A simulation tool that maps 151 million U.S. workers, 32,000 skills, and 923 occupations across 3,000 counties. Their conclusion? AI can already replace 11.7% of the American workforce. That's $1.2 trillion in wages. Finance, healthcare, professional services, all automatable with current technology. The visible part, the tech layoffs everyone's been watching, represent just 2.2% of total wage exposure, which is about $211 billion. Beneath that, another $1 trillion in HR, logistics, finance, office administration, all the stuff nobody thinks about until it's gone. Tennessee is already using the iceberg index in its official AI workforce action plan. Utah is preparing a similar report. North Carolina is drilling down to census block level data to figure out which neighborhoods are screwed first. Meanwhile, KPMG released their own survey. 52% of U.S. workers now fear job displacement because of AI. That's nearly double what it was last year. And it's not just fear, it's reality. HP announced they're cutting 4,000 to 6,000 jobs by 2028 to save $1 billion through AI deployment. Amazon already fired 14,000 people, which we've talked about, and over 1,000 Amazon employees just signed an open letter warning about the company's all-cost justified warp speed approach to AI development. One senior engineer manager with 20 years at Amazon, who signed anonymously because they're terrified of retaliation, said, AI has become almost like a drug that companies like Amazon obsess over, use as a cover to leave people off, and use the savings to pay for data centers for AI products no one is paying for. And it's working. Heck yeah, it's working. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said their AI shopping assistant Rufus is on track to increase sales by $10 billion annually. I used Rufus over the Black Friday weekend to shop. Ask it several questions. Works great. That's cool. It's great. $10 billion in revenue from an AI assistant. How much did it cost to build? How many engineers did you fire to afford it? What's the net cost? Nobody's asking. Nobody cares. Line goes up. So it's fine. Senators Josh Hawley from good old Missouri and Mark Warner just introduced a bill requiring companies to report AI-related layoffs to the Department of Labor. You know why? Because, like I said, nobody's tracking this. We're automating millions of jobs, and there's no central database, no oversight, there's no plan. Just vibes, man. Just rough vibes, dude. Oh, and speaking of vibes, the Federal Reserve's latest Beige Book, their quarterly temperature check on the economy, used a phrase I've never seen in an official Fed document before. Collective holding of breath. That's a direct quote. Multiple districts reported a collective holding of breath about AI spending. Manufacturers described the moment as everyone waiting to see if AI investment is running ahead of demand. Translation? Everyone knows it's a bubble. Everyone's just hoping they're not the one holding the bag when it pops. The Fed also documented something they're calling a K-shaped economy, where high-income households keep spending because their wealth is inflated by AI stock gains, while lower and middle-income consumers are cutting back. The top 10% of households now account for roughly half of all U.S. consumer spending. I'm going to read that again. The top 10% of households now account for roughly half of all U.S. consumer spending. And that wealth is propped up by the AI boom. So if the AI bubble pops, the rich get poor, consumer spending collapses, and the entire economy, which is currently 90% dependent on AI investment, implodes. We can't let that happen because, as David Sachs, Trump's AI and crypto czar, said on X, we can't afford to go backwards, guys. So we're hostages now. The economy runs on AI spending. The AI companies are mostly broke. The government's bailing them out with fake science projects, kind of like me in the 7th grade. And if any of this stops, they'll all go down together and take us with them. Same story, bigger numbers, less shame. It's deja vu and Groundhog's Day all over again, except this time, the freaking rodent predicts 6 more quarters of AI losses. I'll see you in the next episode.